fight. Trying to see where this life take me, so I roll the dice. Look up to no one else, but yeah, I was shy. I got real power, Hebrew Israelite.
Yeah. Fridays and Saturdays. Fridays at 6, Saturdays at 3, until probably like 7, or maybe until whenever. Yeah, we start at 3. So, hey, come down. Again, any questions? We got an Instagram page too. It's the same as our YouTube, WFI Chicago. Hit us up on there or come down here and we'll answer them through the Spirit. All right, no doubt. What's your name? Kenron.
Kenron. Yes, Kenron.
All right, Taz.
All right, nice to meet you.
All right, yep. All right, be cool.
You too, Ken.
Safe, Ken. What's going on, brothers? Y'all got any more questions? Not today?
Melchizedek yesterday. Melchizedek, right? You really were,
Right. So, hey, all praise to the Most High, man. Most High willing that brother look into the information so he could be able to get edified, man. Right? That's what we come out here to do, man. One sheet, hey, we don't know, that might be the elect. Right? So we gotta put it in that brick. Let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 3. 1 Corinthians chapter 3. 2 minutes. 1 minute, family. 1 minute for the word.
Come on, brother. Take a flight.
1 minute.
Brother, take a flight.
Let's bring this up.
This is the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 3 and verse 6.
Bring it up.
And it reads, I have planted, Apollos watered,
Right?
but God gave the increase.
But what?
But God gave the increase.
Read that again.
But God gave the increase.
And we gotta ask the Lord to get that increase, right? So because we might plant that seed, but a seed will never grow if it doesn't have water or sunshine. So that sunshine represents the wisdom, knowledge and understanding, and the water is the understanding. So if the Lord water that seed, it's gonna yield forth the increase. Next thing you know, it's gonna become a tree. So that's why we out here. The Lord is gonna do the watering, man. Right? Or another brother, he might water. Another brother might plant the seed. But at the end of the day, the Lord is gonna get an increase.
That's right.
You got a question?
Verse number 7. So then neither is he that planteth anything, neither he that watereth,
Right.
but the Most High that giveth the increase.
But the what?
But the Most High that giveth the increase.
But the Most High that giveth the increase, man. Right. So the Lord out here giving an increase in the last days. Right. Now, from the question that you did have yesterday, I wanted to expound on that. Right. I know we didn't get a chance because it was freezing. But let's go to Wisdom of Solomon 18 to 15. Right. And first, let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 10. Speaking on Christ being in the wilderness. Right. Well, Christ was all through the Old Testament. Right. Before we go to that, let's go to Psalms 40 and 7. You said what?
That was amazing to me that he was already still down here on earth. So he's come on down to
Let's bring this up.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 40, and verse number 7. And it reads, Then said I, Lo, I come in the volume of the book.
I what?
I come in the volume of the book.
No, only in the New Testament.
I come in the volume of the book.
So the Lord said he come in the volume of the book. So a lot of people just think Christ came on the scene during the time of the New Testament, in the time of Matthew, or the Gospels. No, the Lord said he in the whole volume of the book.
Right.
So he in the Old Testament, he in the New, he even in the Apocrypha.
That's right.
Right? He in the book of Deuteronomy. He in the book of Genesis.
Right.
He all the way in the book of 1 Corinthians.
Right.
He in Revelation. He's everywhere. So again, those is a part of the mysteries. But let's go to Wisdom of Solomon 18 and 15.
This is the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 18 and verse number 15. And it reads, Thine almighty word leaped down from heaven.
It says what?
Thine almighty word leaped down from heaven.
Now in the book of Exodus, when you read Wisdom of Solomon, it's a recap of what happened during the time of the Exodus. So you read about the 10 plagues in Exodus, you read about the Lord turning the water into blood, the frogs, the locusts. Now, at the end of that was the destruction of the firstborn. Start at verse 14.
Verse 14. For while all things were in quiet silence, and that night was in the midst of her swift course,
right?
Thine almighty word leaped down from heaven.
Thine what?
Thine almighty word leaped down from heaven.
Now, Christ, he's the word. He's the word of God. So, Jesus Christ, he actually killed the firstborn of Egypt. That destroyer that you read about, that was actually Christ. So he hopped off his throne, right? He leaped down, read on.
Out of thy royal throne.
Out of thy what?
Out of thy royal throne.
He hopped off his throne, read on.
As a fierce man of war.
As a what?
As a fierce man of war.
As a nice guy.
As a fierce man of war.
As Caesar Borgia.
As a fierce man of war.
So Christ, when he hopped down, when it was time for the take plague, he hopped down as a fierce man of war. He jumped down into the land of Egypt. And it was a nightmare for him. Read on.
Into the midst of a land of destruction.
See that? And after that, everybody was hollering. The firstborn of the Egyptians died. The firstborn of the cattle died. A lot of people died that night on the 10th plague. All right? Again, there's something that the Christian church, they don't know who that was. They just say that was an angel. But that was actually Christ himself. Right? So Christ, he got busy, man. In the land of Egypt. Now, what else we was holding?
1 Corinthians 10.
Yeah, 1 Corinthians 10. Start at verse 6.
Look at 1 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 6. Now these things were our examples to the intent.
Start at verse 3.
Verse 3. 1 Corinthians 10 and 3. And did all eat the same spiritual meat, and did all drink the same spiritual drink.
Right, because our forefathers, they drunk of this spiritual drink. You know?
For they drank of that spiritual rock.
For they what?
For they drank of that spiritual rock.
You know?
That followed them. And that rock was Christ.
And what?
And that rock was Christ.
So Christ was in the wilderness with the Israelites. That cloud that you read about that hovered over them, that was Yahweh Shai.
Teach up.
Right? All the way during the time of what? Exodus. So Christ appears a lot of the times in the Old Testament. Let's get two more examples. Let's go to Joshua 5 and 13. Christ met Moses. Yeah. Right? Let's go to Exodus 34 and 11. So, because Moses was talking with somebody in a burning bush. That burning the bush, they said it's an angel in the scriptures, but that really was Christ. Because the same thing that he told Moses was the same thing that he told Joshua. We're going to read that. Joshua 5:13.
This is the book of Joshua, chapter 5 and verse 13.
Bring it out!
And it reads, and it came to pass when Joshua was by Jericho, that he lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, there stood a man over against him with his sword drawn in his hand.
With a what?
With his sword drawn in his hand.
So Joshua, he in Jericho, he looking up. It's a man with a sword in his hand. Read on.
And Joshua went unto him and said unto him, Art thou for us or for our adversaries?
Right? He's like, well, hold on. Are you for us or are you against us? Read on.
And he said,
that's like you imagine you just walking and you see a man over and over you with a sword. You're gonna be like, what's going on? Right? Read on.
And he said, Nay, but as captain of the host of the Lord.
But as what?
But as captain of the host of the Lord.
Read that again.
But as captain of the host of the Lord.
In Christ, he's the captain of the host of the Lord. He's the captain over all of the armies. Because when he returns, he's gonna have Christ has an army. right? We're his soldiers, right? Endure hardness as a good soldier of Hamashiach, right? You had the angels, which are his other soldiers, and they're going to help him and partake of the destruction of America. So Christ, he's the captain of the host of the Lord. Read on.
Am I now come?
Right?
And Joshua fell on his face to the earth and did worship and said unto him, What saith my Lord unto his servant? Verse 15, and the captain of the Lord's host said unto Joshua, Loose thy shoe from off thy foot.
Do what?
Loose thy shoe from off thy foot.
Read on.
For the place whereon thou standest is holy.
See that? Now, remember those words. Let's go to Exodus 3 and 4.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 3 and verse 4, and it reads, When the Lord saw that he turned aside to see, Yahweh called unto him out of the midst of the bush and said, Moses, Moses. And he said, Here am I.
Right?
And he said, Draw not nigh hither.
Take your time.
Let me start from the top here. Book of Exodus, chapter 3 and verse 4.
Bring it out.
And it reads, And when the Lord saw that he turned aside to see, God called unto him out of the midst of the bush and said, Moses, Moses. And he said, Here am I. And he said, Draw not nigh hither. Put off thy shoes from off thy feet.
Do what?
Put off thy shoes from off thy feet.
The same thing he told Joshua. Read on.
For the place whereon thou standest is holy ground.
That's how we know it's Christ. It's the same thing, two different accounts. Right? So that's Christ all through the Old Testament. Right? So he didn't just come on the scene during the time of Matthew.
So you think he was like Elisha too?
You said what?
You believe he was Elisha? You know, because Elisha brought the child back to life when he told the lady that she was going to have a child. And then she sent one of her servants to let him know that her child died or something. And he came back and he laid on him and brought him back to life.
Right. Now, Elisha wasn't Christ. They two different. So in certain instances, you have many different regenerations of Christ. Right? Christ was only a select few of regenerations. Right? He was Adam through the Spirit, Isaac, Solomon, Melchizedek, and Christ when he came on the scene. So those are the generations of him. To say he was Elijah, it wouldn't be a lot of precepts on that to be able to go into that and say that. We just know what the Bible. We just know what the Bible says. So it's a lot of regenerations of Yahweh Shai. It's a lot of times Christ popped up on the scene, but to say that he was Elisha the prophet, that wouldn't be accurate. That wouldn't be accurate.
I got another question. As far as, did we come again here like the same people that we like reincarnation? In other words, did we come again?
Say, do we come back on the earth?
Yeah.
Yeah, we absolutely. That's what Christ did. He came back on the earth a couple times. So in reincarnation, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they say you come back on the earth, but it's you could come back on the earth as anything. They say you could come back on the earth as a cat.
As a cat?
Yeah, that's what the world says. That's reincarnation.
That's crazy. It's regeneration.
Absolutely, it's regeneration. So according to the Bible, it's regeneration. According to the world, it's reincarnation.
So we don't have to come back as another Israelite.
No, we do. We do. So when we come back on the earth, we're always going to be Israelites. We're not going to come on the earth as an Israelite. Then the next time we come on the earth, we're a Moabite. Yeah, that's all.
You come back like as a cat, I'm still a good Israelite.
No, you can't come back as a cat.
You just said that.
No, I said that's what reincarnation is.
Oh, okay.
Regeneration and reincarnation is two different things. Let's go to Psalm 16 and 5. Let's go to Numbers 36 and 11.
The book of Psalms,
And another brother give me Matthew 19 and 28.
chapter 16, and verse number 5. And it reads, "The Lord is the portion of mine inheritance, and of my cup thou maintainest my lot."
That what?
Thou maintainest my lot.
So the Lord maintains our lot. Any lot we have before is always going to be the same lot. So Daniel the prophet, when he come back on the earth, he's always going to be from the tribe of Judah. He's always going to be a prophet, and you can't change that. A man that was an Israelite, but he might have been wicked, he's always going to come back on the earth as a wicked man. He's always going to come back as an evil man. Esau, when he come back on the earth, he's always going to come back on the earth as an Edomite. Right? The lot can't change through the spirit.
But I want him to know too. But see, at the very end, though, if you're Israel, they said, what's the gain for you being Israel? See, because the 2/3 supposed going to be destroyed. But at the end of the day, all of Israel going to be the kingdom. God going to put it on our minds. I won't have to teach them the law. He ain't going to teach me the law. All of us, you know what I'm saying? Know what's, you know what I'm saying? They're going to do it. They said, no,
Yeah, something.
And that's another thing, like when you go into prepare slaughter for the iniquity of their fathers. You know, those individuals, their fathers was committing those iniquities. Their fathers out there putting individuals in captivity. Now these individuals still got to pay for that. One reason they got to pay for it is because that's their fathers. Another reason they got to pay for it because they are their fathers. If you look at regeneration, they're the same individuals just coming back every fourth generation, 3-4 generations.
They say that wasn't me that had you in slavery, or that wasn't me, that was my ancestors. So actually it was them.
yeah, they are the ancestors.
Yeah.
They are the ancestors. It's like we are our ancestors at the end of the day. So the reason why, for example, those men, those slave masters, they still here. They modern day police. They a modern day boss. Your boss was on the earth at one point. He was back on the earth.
Right.
Now during the 1800s, he probably, instead of him being your boss, he was your slave master. So all of that ties into regeneration. Let's go to Matthew 19:28.
It's the book of Matthew, chapter 19 and verse 28.
Yeah.
And Jesus said unto them, Verily I say unto you, that ye which have followed me in the regeneration.
In the what?
In the regeneration.
Read that again.
In regeneration.
Read on.
When the Son of Man shall sit in the throne of his glory.
Right.
Ye also shall sit upon 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel.
So in the regeneration, the 12 apostles, they're going to be judging the 12 tribes of Israel. So it's showing you that regeneration is in the Bible. Right? Let's go to, and the disciples, they knew that. Let's go to Matthew 16 and 13. And let's go to John chapter 9 and verse 1.
It's the book of Matthew, chapter 16, and verse 13, and it reads, When Yahushua came into the coast of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, saying, Whom do men say that I, the Son of Man, am?
Right, so Christ is saying, hold on, who do people say that I am? You know what?
And they said, Some say that thou art John the Baptist.
It says what?
Some say that thou art John the Baptist.
Read on.
Some Elias, and others Jeremiah.
Now, hold on, why would they say that he's Jeremiah the prophet? If Jeremiah's already dead by this time, Elijah the prophet, he already dead. But even our ancestors, our forefathers knew about regeneration. They knew that this man, he probably Jeremiah back on the earth. He probably Elijah back on the earth, right? So our ancestors understood the concept of regeneration. You know what?
Or one of the prophets, he said unto them, Well, whom say ye that I am?
Right?
And Simon Peter answered and said, Thou art the Christ.
So Peter knew that was Yahweh, that was the Christ. Let's go to John 9 and 1.
It's the book of John, chapter 9 and verse 1.
Bring it out.
And as Jesus passed by, he saw a man which was blind from his birth.
Right?
And his disciples asked him, saying, Master, who did sin, this man or his parents?
This what?
This man or his parents?
Now hold on, why would they say that this man sinned? If he was just born on the earth, blind. Because they knew that in his past life, this man could have been wicked. And when he came back on the earth, he could have had a judgment. That's why certain people, they come out the womb blind. Certain people, they come out the womb cross-eyed. They got a lump in their head. Some of that could be due to how they was working in their past life. The Lord is judging them. All right? Read on.
And his disciple asked him, saying, Master, who did sin, this man or his parents,
right,
that he was born blind? Jesus answered, neither hath this man sinned, nor his parents, but that the works of God should be made manifest in him.
Right, so the whole reason why he was blind wasn't that he sinned. It was just that the works of the Most High may be made manifest through Yahweh Shai. You got a precept?
It's the book of Revelation, chapter 1 and verse 7.
Read out.
Behold, he cometh with clouds.
It says what?
Behold, he cometh with clouds.
Read that again.
Behold, he cometh with clouds.
What the Lord say?
Behold, he cometh with clouds.
Read.
And every eye shall see him, and they also which pierced him.
And what?
And they also which pierced him.
So it said when Christ comes back, everybody gonna see him. Even the people that pierced him on the cross gonna see him. So that's letting you know that when the Lord returns, the same people that pierced him, they're gonna be the same people that see Yahweh Shai. And they're gonna get judged. Everybody has to get judged according to their works. So through the Spirit, I mean, it's letting you know regeneration is playing upon tables. That's why certain people might say, hey, you've been here before. Or you might feel like you've been on the earth before. They say you got an old soul. There's something about you. Right? That's through the Spirit. So that's in Jake nature. You got a precept?
It's the book of Revelation, chapter 10 and verse number 11. And he said unto me, thou must prophesy again before many peoples and nations and tongues and kings.
So the Lord told John the Revelator, hey, you're going to prophesy again against many kingdoms, kings, right, people. Ultimately letting you know that John the Revelator, he's on the earth right now, doing the same thing he was doing in the ancient world. So that's regeneration in the Bible.
So he's somewhat now doing the same thing, man.
You said what?
He said, so like right now he's somewhat probably doing the same thing.
He's doing the same thing he did.
Yeah.
Thousands of years ago.
That's
Right?
good.
Yeah. Let's go to 2nd Ezra 1 and 39. Second Ezra 1 and 39.
It's the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 1 and verse 39, and it reads,
Bring it out.
unto whom I will give for leaders Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Oseas, Amos, and Micahs, Joel, Abdias, Obadiah, and Jonas, Nahum, and Habakkuk, Sophonias, Agai, Zechariah, and Malachi, which is called also an angel of the Lord.
Right, so the Lord said in the last days, he's going to send for leaders, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, all of the prophets, they're going to come back on the earth in the last days. So everybody's back. A lot of people, they back on the earth right now. Only thing is, we don't know who they are. All right? Absolutely not.
Right.
They don't know who they are. Even John the Baptist said, thou has to be Elijah. John the Baptist said, hey, I'm not Elijah. But he is Elijah. It's just he wouldn't know that. So you're not gonna remember. Let's get that in Ecclesiastes 1 and 11.
It's the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 1 and verse 11, and it reads, there is no remembrance of former things.
It says what?
There is no remembrance of former things.
Read that again.
There is no remembrance of former things.
Read on.
Neither shall there be any remembrance of things that are to come.
See that? So once you die, your thought perishes. Right? Everything you're gonna forget about your past life. Because if you was to remember everything that happened to you in your past life, you will bug out. All of the rape, rob, and murder that happened, the slavery, like you will literally, you will bug out, man.
It's like if you can remember, because like some people say, I can't see what it says. Yeah, that's like took the baby like you were saying, you can't remember that.
So, like
might be too much,
the
like
people that was
overload
coming
to,
over on the ships, and when they was trying to jump over off the ships, for not to come over here, and they supposedly came over. So they came still then, right?
Yeah, it was reborn.
They still came, like, you know, when they was coming over when the slave ships came.
Right.
And some people tried to like just jump off the ship in order not to, to avoid coming over
They
here.
still was born back into slavery anyway.
Right.
When they
So
came,
they-
so they really did get away still.
Yeah, they didn't.
Yeah. That's
Yeah. Yeah, you can't escape the judgment of the Lord. So whether you try to avoid it or not, you still gonna be in slavery. Because even they might be born right now, they still in slavery. You born into slavery. Whether that's whether you were born in 2002, whether you were born in 1850, you still a slave. And you will be a slave for breaking God's commandments.
Right.
There's nothing you can do about it.
So is that like a lot of people that's locked up? So if they locked up like the rest of their life, then they was born like into that. You think so or not?
Slavery?
Like slavery.
Yeah, I mean, if you locked up, then yeah. I mean, as long as you're born in America, you're a slave by default. They give you a social security number, right? You can't go nowhere. You gotta ask for permission to leave, right? You gotta pay for water, right? You gotta pay taxes, right? They don't care. You don't care if you're 5 years old. You go to the store, you buy $1 chips. That's gonna be $1.07.
Right.
Right? So you're born a slave. That's what people don't realize. So whether you were born in the 1800s, you were born in 2000s, you were still born a slave.
You got more freedom to roam more than the other ones.
Yeah, you got a little bit more freedom. But you majority enslaved mentally than you are physically. So yeah, y'all got any more questions? No. All right, let's go to Baruch 0.6.
Baruch, chapter 4, and verse number 6, and it reads, Ye were sold to the nations for your destruction, but because you moved God to wrath.
Well, actually, go to Baruch 3 and 8. Go to Baruch chapter 3 and 8.
The book of Baruch, chapter 3, and verse 8. Behold, we are yet this day in our captivity,
Right?
where thou hast scattered us, for a reproach and a curse, and to be subject to payments.
And to what?
And to be subject to payments.
Right, what is slavery?
And to be subject to payments.
Right, because we subject to payments, man. Right. You have to pay up. Right? Even people that's not from America, when they come over here, they still got to pay.
Right.
Everybody got to get taxed. Right? And Uncle Sam is not even alive. I don't even know if that's a real character.
He wasn't.
Oh, he was?
He
Oh, he
wasn't.
wasn't? Oh, wow.
I think they try to say, was Uncle Sam supposed to be Abraham?
I don't know. He was fake.
He said he wasn't real.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, they say he's not even a real character, but somehow he's still getting money. Right? Read on.
According to all the iniquities of our fathers, which departed from the Lord our God.
So we departed from the Lord, now we subject to payments. You can't escape that. You can't escape Deuteronomy 28. Nobody has ever escaped, man. Right? Even the prophets. Ezekiel
Kanye West was asked, he was talking about that. He was talking about, hey, he a billionaire, yet he can't even see his own children at times.
Facts. Right.
You know what I'm saying? He said, it's
Right.
crazy. He said he's still a slave, man. All this money, he's still a slave.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like I said, we are slave physically, but if you say you're not slave physically, you dang sure slave mentally. Right? You have a term called vanity slaves, where we will go, if you give us $20,000, we'll go buy a $20,000 chain, then why did they get a house?
Right.
We'll go buy $2,000 shoes rather than pay our bills for rent. That's called vanity slaves. Meaning we'll get things due to our insecurity for instant gratification rather than getting what we need.
Right.
You have wants and you have needs. They teach you that when you're younger. But for some odd reason, we'll go spend $500 on a pair of shoes, right? But your damn car part is missing. You didn't get an oil change in 5 years, right? Somehow your car is still running, right? So that's we slave mentally for sure.
I got another question too. All right, the guy that was blind that Jesus had brought back, when he took him to like wipe his eyes and he said he saw like trees. What did he mean by that?
Let's go to it. Let's go to Mark chapter 8 and let's go to verse 20. That was ultimately set up for our learning. So yeah, he physically healed him, but that was on a deeper level so we could understand through the spirit that men are trees, through the word, through the precepts. Or men are compared to trees. Yeah, men are compared to a lot of things. Trees, beasts, animals.
So that's why when he told him when they was coming out to like through the he told them don't hurt the trees.
You said what?
Remember God told him don't hurt the trees, like
Right,
the
don't hurt the
locusts,
trees.
right? He said don't hurt the trees.
Absolutely, that's right. Trees are men.
So that's what that means, man.
Right. That's meaning that's not literal because what's significance to the Lord hurting the trees? Right? The seventh trumpet kick off, then the Lord come back and start cutting down all the
You know
No.
what? He really looked like a tree too. Because he's straight, the afro looked just like our tree. As he said, he saw trees walking around. You know, then he rubbed his eye again. You know, and when they call you a family tree.
Yeah.
You know, I want to get like a picture with like Craig's family tree on there and have like all of Israel, the tribes of Israel, like the trees, like leaves. You know, and the breakdown of you know, what they said we are. You know, the Bible is what God said we are. You know, when people see that, they be like, what? His family, blood, brothers? It's like, I don't want to be too long, right? But like today, right, I was driving by and said, hey, look in there and see if that's one of our peoples, right? I said, and he said, yeah, it look like it's our brother, right? So I said, man, we got to help this guy, man. So I pulled over to the side because we commanded to help our brothers.
Right.
Man.
Right.
So I was trying to push it. Who will push this car? He said, you know, I'm driving Uber, man. Can you get this guy a ride? I said, yeah, sure. Then I said, hey, man, what nation you? He said, I'm Mexican. I said, so you Islam? I said, oh, Azteca, right? You know that's me, like Hebrew, like time, people like y'all no knowledge of the times and stuff. And he was like, see, he's like, oh, okay. And I was just breaking down a few things about what's what. You know what I'm saying? And he was like, man, I said, man, because you love family. I'm the man, I have to help you. If I see you as in need, you know what I'm saying? You ever been wicked just to let you go back. You know, but he on his own.
Right.
Right. Oh.
That's right.
He's gonna check it out. I told him to check out Watchmen. I told him to check him out. WFI Chicago. I said, get there on YouTube. I said, because you started the movie Matrix. He said, yeah. He said, well, it's just like you taking one pill to keep living in the fantasy world. That's an illusion. Or taking the real pill coming down to earth and really seeing how things are. Do you really want to see how things are? He said, yeah. I said, well, check out that WFI. They'll let you know how things really are.
Right.
Been a day.
Yeah. Just bring this out.
This is the book of Mark, chapter 8, and verse 22.
Yeah.
And he cometh to Bethsaida, and they bring a blind man unto him, and besought him to touch him. And he took the blind man by the hand, and led him out of the town. And when he had spit on his eyes, and put his hands upon him, he asked him if he saw out.
Right.
And he looked up and said, I see men as trees walking.
I see what?
I see men as trees walking.
Read on.
After that, he put his hands again upon his eyes and made him look up, and he was restored and saw every man clearly.
See that? So that was on a deeper level that was set up so you could be able to know that men are compared to a tree.
Wow.
That's all through the scriptures. Let's go to Psalms 1 and 2.
Book of Psalms, chapter 1 and verse 2.
That's why the Lord said you may know a tree by its fruit. Right? Because if you're a good tree, you're going to bring forth good fruit. Meaning good works. Now, if you're a bad tree, you can see a bad tree if it's dead, there's no leaves on it. Christ, he walked by certain trees and it had no leaves on it. And he cursed it. A fig tree, he cursed it forever. That could be you if you're not bringing forth righteous fruit. Absolutely.
He just went and just like got upset at the tree because it didn't have none for no reason.
Yeah, right.
There was a reason behind it.
Okay, right.
Book of Psalms, chapter 1 and verse 2. For his delight is in the law of the Lord.
Right.
And in his law doth he meditate day and night.
So a man of understanding, he's going to be meditating in the commandments day and night. Right? He go to sleep, he meditating, he dreaming it's about the Bible. He wake up, he in the Bible again. Through the day, he in the Bible. He's meditating continually. Read on.
And he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water.
He shall be like a what?
And he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water.
So a man that's always meditating on the word, even he compared to a tree. But he compared to a tree by living waters. So a tree that's surrounded by waters, and you know that tree is going to be healthy.
Right.
It's going to be abundant, right? Strong. Versus a tree that's weak. Read on.
That bringeth forth his fruit in his season.
And you're gonna bring forth righteous fruit. Right? Kind of bring it out. And the Lord is gonna, because the Lord has to eat. The Lord is gonna eat from everybody. You got to think about it. We had the same characteristics as the Lord. So Jake, he loved his garden. He would get a little garden together, grow some tomatoes, might get an apple tree. The Lord, he's a husbandman too. He's a gardener too. And he's gonna try different fruits. And if you got bad fruit, the Lord come to your tree and you got bad fruit, he's gonna spit you out. He's not gonna deal with you. But if you have that fruit, hey, say, okay, I can use this brother right here. Then they all praise to the Most High. Bring it out.
Look at Ezekiel, chapter 31 and verse 2. Son of man, speak unto Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and to his multitude, whom art thou like in thy greatness? Behold, the Assyrian was a cedar in Lebanon,
right,
with fair branches, and with a shadowing shroud, and of an high stature, and his top was among the thick boughs.
Right, now this is a similar to, it's not literally talking about the ancient Assyrians. This is going into Adam. So Adam, he was compared to as a tree. Read on.
The waters made him great, the deep set him up on the high with her rivers running round about his plants.
Right.
And sent out her little rivers to all the trees of the field.
See that? So you had multiple trees during the Garden of Eden, but Adam, he was the top tree. He was the top dog. He was the top man. He was literally the top man on the earth. There was no man greater than the chosen Adam. So it's just showing you that men are actually referred to as trees in the Bible. That's what Mark 8:24 really go in depth with. So yeah. That's pretty much. We'll turn the mic on, this is cold. So that's pretty much that. Y'all got any more questions? No, not right now. Alright.
It seems like we be up with a lot of questions. It seems like watching on YouTube, it seems like y'all talking about it, we have a lot of questions in the video.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
watching like a bit longer. Well, he's not watching. So I've been watching like a lot of like the HO9, all the different type of apps and stuff. That's one of my favorite.
Oh, I pray.
I was telling him, he thought I was a crazy person. This guy used to be like, he dropping Starbucks and stuff. I'm like, slow down, man. Ain't that serious?
I thought like it was like God was simple to everybody, like the white people and all.
Yeah.
I thought that they was like part of the Israelites too. You know, what?
Yeah, the Bible is it is what it is.
Then when I was looking at the thing, it was like that the Bible was really meant for us. It was wrote for us. You know, so it's like now when I read it, I get a whole different meaning out of the Bible now when I read it now. I see it in a whole different way.
That's like, the right way.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's an understanding. At first, it wasn't right. You'll read it and you see a lot of stuff that, like you say, it's like it's contradictory.
Yeah, because they saying one thing,
the
person tell you one thing, then the scripture tell you something different. They say just pray over your food, and you can eat it, you can be clean. That's what the so-called pastor said. Then another part of the Bible will tell you when the Son of God comes back, He gonna destroy anybody eating like the mouse or the swine.
You got the pastors of the church right now, they eat pork themselves.
Yeah, that's why we have to go. Let's bring this up. That's why you're going to see the Bible differently because you're going through the precepts. You linking it. See, the Bible is a puzzle, right? It's not just a regular novel that you could just read. No, you're going to read it front to back, but everything links up through the Spirit. That's why you have to have the Spirit. If you don't have the Spirit, you're not going to understand the Bible. That's why these top Christians, these top eschatologists, they don't understand the Bible because they don't have the Spirit. So I know through the Spirit, the same thing that Daniel's seen, that's the same thing that Ezra's seen. They seen the same thing. Both seen the Roman Empire is written in a different way though. Same thing that John the Revelator seen, that's the same thing Ezekiel seen through the Spirit. But you gotta go through the precepts. Let's bring this out. That's the only way you're gonna get to understand. Or you're gonna be looking at the Bible like a white man. Right? Maybe Yahushua really was a lamb. Right? No, that's off, man. Right? Let's read this.
It's the book of Psalms, chapter 119 and verse 104.
Bring it out.
Through thy precepts I get understanding.
Read that again.
Through thy precepts I get understanding.
Read on.
Therefore I hate every false way.
See that? So you're gonna get to it's gonna all link up. Right? You reading the book of Jeremiah, but you find the question to your answer all the way in the book of Daniel somewhere, or in the book of Hosea. Or you like, dang, this precept in Jeremiah, that match up with something in Job. Right? But Job written from a whole different time period than Jeremiah. But it's all saying the same thing. So it's harmonious. Right? That's a beautiful word, harmonious.
Yeah.
Let's bring this up.
Book of Psalms, chapter 119, verse 127.
Bring it out.
Therefore, I love thy commandments above gold,
Right?
yea, above fine gold. Therefore, I esteem all thy precepts concerning all things to be right,
Right?
and I hate every false way.
Then you're gonna hate every false way. So when somebody do say God love everybody, you saying, The Bible don't say that.
Right.
Right? Everybody say you can't eat pork. The Bible don't say that. So yeah.
Some people can eat it, y'all can eat whatever y'all want to eat.
Yeah, the nations, they can do whatever they want to eat.
All my family, they all was like diabetics and stuff.
Right.
Everything, but they all eat pork. And I don't eat no pork, and I'm the only one out of my family, and it was 11 of us.
Catfish, shrimp,
You know, and I'm the only one that's not a diabetic in the family. And I don't eat no pork.
That's why, a lot of times we talk, I'm about y'all age, we're taught that those type of diseases are hereditary. Right. But it's not. It's the food, the diet that's hereditary.
That's right. It's the diet. Because you grew up on pork every Saturday with the eggs, right? Overly salted spaghetti, right? You grew up on that stuff, right? Mac and cheese, a lot of pepper in it, high cholesterol foods. So that's just a part of our diet and our culture, but that's the so-called African-American culture. The Israelite culture is way different.
Right.
We got way different dietary laws, way different commandments. You can't just eat anything. Even dealing with wisdom, it tell you can't even put certain things into your body. Now we know we eating defiled bread amongst the Gentiles. We know all of this food is really GMO, it's fake, it's not good for us. But what the Lord say, don't eat. He's telling you that for a reason. Or else you're gonna get punishments. You're gonna get judgments. So it's really keep God's commandments and live, or forsake His commandments and die. It's two options.
That's right.
Martin Luther King, he didn't really know it. He didn't really know the Bible either. Then.
I think towards the end. I think towards the end he did.
A lot of people say, well, hold on, Martin Luther King, that's a coon, right? And they just go off on Martin Luther King. But what a lot of people don't know about Martin Luther King, toward the end of his career, around 1967, because I believe he died in 1968.
Right.
He actually went to Israel. He made a famous speech, you could look it up, called The Promised Land. And he actually acknowledged, he said, hey, we the people, right? I know the Lord is going to come back and redeem His people. So when all of that time he spent in Israel, God knows what he learned. And I believe they even said, even One West back in the day, they talked to Martin Luther King before he died. So it's a possible chance that Martin Luther King, he said we're the Israelites.
Yeah, on YouTube, you can Google on YouTube, and there's a guy, he was saying a speech, and he got real comfortable. He was a minister, and he was saying, they were asking about what King was going to tell you on that speech. He said, he wasn't going to say that. He always be playing around like us, like that, doing little different stuff, They said, so what did he tell you? They said, well, he was going to say something, but it really wasn't nothing. And then he got real comfortable and then slipped out. He said, and you can Google it on YouTube, he said, as we went up on the balcony or something, I had to move back so they can get the shot. And then the crowd gasped. They was like, what? Then he thought about what he said. He faked it off and tried to talk about something else. You can Google it on YouTube. Because he said they wanted to meet and have a speech the day before. He was going to run across the ministers, see what they think about it. What he was going to say is he's going to have a speech saying, we are the people in this book. It's like Malcolm X said. He said, we are the people in the valley of the dry bones. This is us. We are the people in the book. We are, you know what I'm saying?
So
He
they
said,
didn't want that out, basically.
They shot him. And then some of his members knew they was going to shoot him because he did. Because he said on YouTube, he said, as I move back so they could take the shot. He just told on himself. Then he called himself. Then he tried to hurry up and switch it up. You know what I'm saying? He's going to say, we Israel. Stay away from them. Be separate. For the other peoples come together.
Yeah, so that whole thing was they said, because originally Martin Luther King, his room was on the lowest balcony. But they said, I believe they say Reverend Jesse Jackson got his room changed upstairs. So
he probably was fine.
Yeah, he was. Reverend Jesse Jackson, he was, unfortunately.
You know about DMX? He was just on a week before he died of a drug overdose, they said.
Right.
He was outside. I saw him on the thing. He was talking to the Israelites. About that. He said, yeah, we'll link up. I'll talk to you. I'll chat. Next thing I know, he got a drug overdose. And he gone.
Yeah, they don't want
DMX.
nobody that's
influential like that.
Yeah.
That's why I'm surprised Kanye West, he making it that far. Cal Irving was wearing Francis. He was in one of his things. He was wearing Francis, man, on one of his warm-up games.
Yeah, they say Kanye West, he popped up missing. He been missing. We don't know where he at.
I was reading this on YouTube too. They was trying to make it seem like this right here is like a racist group. It's a militant, like wearing military clothes.
But ain't that wrong with being racist? You prefer your race and being militant, but long as you're not violent. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't know you're violent. You haven't seen us hang nobody from no trees.
Right.
Kidnap nobody, make us work for us for free.
Yeah, it's just
see none of that madness, man.
They saying that because they don't want nobody to listen to them.
Right.
And
All
that's the way they try to like get all the people, you know, on the dump to them. To not to listen to them and all that, to think there's a different way. And then they're gonna try to scare people and lock up certain people, you know what I'm saying, to try to scare the rest of the crowd, everybody else.
That's why that number of people walk back. And they ain't stopping because they probably already listen to whatever on TV media. If people listen to whatever on TV, grown folks, they get crazy. It's like when Trump said, remember what Trump said? You take bleach, you can kill coronavirus. A lot of grown folks are taking bleach, man.
This is the book of Sirach.
That's why everything they're saying is all, I mean, if it's scriptural, again, it's in the Bible. So if you say that we are racist, well, the definition of what people use for racist, that's not even a real, what they really mean is being prejudiced, right? If we judging somebody off their skin color, which we don't do, we obviously ask them their nationality. So a lot of the things they gonna put in the media is automatically false, but what they won't tell you is God is a racist, right? Let's bring this out.
The book of Sirach, chapter 26 and verse 19.
God is a racist. God is a separatist, right? God is a divisionist. The Lord is all of these things. Bring this out.
My son, keep the flower of thine age sound,
right?
And give not thy strength to strangers.
Right, so the Lord said, don't give your strength into strangers, meaning heathen women, right? Women of the other nations. You know what?
When thou hast got a fruitful possession through all the field, sow it with thine own seed.
Do what?
Sow it with thine own seed.
So if you get a fruitful possession, a field, right? And a woman, her secret part is referred to as a land. So in a man, his sperm is referred to as a seed. So once a man put his seed in the soil, it's gonna bring forth fruit or a plant or the fruit of thy loins, which is children. So God is saying, if you get a fruitful field, sow it with your own seed. Don't be sowing and you mixing the holy seed. You dealing with the woman of the Moabites and the Edomites. No, get you an Israelite woman. It's gonna tell you why though. You know what?
Sow it with thine own seed, trusting in the goodness of thy stock.
Right.
So thy race.
So thy what?
So thy race.
Read that again.
So thy race.
Hey, race is in the Bible. The Lord said, so thy race, read on.
Which thou leavest shall be magnified.
Because the Lord wants you to breed a strong Israelite. He don't want to be half Israelite, half Moabite. No, the Lord wants a strong, no man is going to breed a Chihuahua with a red-nosed pit bull, right? And let them do their thing. No. He's gonna bring that with a pit bull to get that strong. No, that's real. People do that in a dog. With dogs, they do that. They breed it with other dogs, with the same dog, so to get that full bred. Now Esau, he down had a dog. He got you got a type
liger.
A what?
Liger.
A lion, a liger.
Yeah.
He breeding lions with tigers. That's off, man. But the Lord said, guess what? He wants the Israelite race to be magnified. So, and God is a racist. You gotta take that out with the Bible.
You know, that's the one guy, that's one Edomite guy, right? He on I think like a football team, maybe it's a basketball team. And he said he'll pay good money. So he said, why is Serena Williams messing up her jeans like that? She mess around who she mess around with. I will pay good money to see her have a baby with LeBron James. And they got on me, he's like, y'all better stay off me. Like, I'm y'all peoples. I'm an Esau like y'all can't be disrespecting me. I'm gonna say what I wanna say, because that's the truth. She watered her, can you imagine that child? A child mixed with Serena Williams, she big as I don't know what, with muscularity, but she moved like a cat, mixed with a big old freak of nature, LeBron James, tall like a giant, and moved like a cat, so much agility and speed. At 105, how old LeBron is? Look, I mean, they got old as that, you know what I'm saying? We still be doing it to the little young kids out there. You know what I'm saying? So that would have been a real good start. And see, what hurting us too is people it'd be good to do that, because I think it'd be good if he had another wife, if he had Serena, but she was like a lady like Sarah. You know what I'm saying? You know, and they would have had some children together. Instead of she getting who she got up with. Because that's madness, man. And even Kanye West, he took all that money, he throwing money into the world. He gave the money right back to you. Now, if something happened to you, she's not going to honor your people. She ain't even tell them that they Israel. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. So when he said that the eyes of flaming fire, would that mean like the white part of around the eyes, or was it the pupils also?
We're gonna answer that. Let's go to Genesis 49 as well.
It's the book of Genesis, chapter 49, and verse number 12. His eyes shall be red with wine.
His what?
His eyes shall be red with wine.
Let's go to Matthew 11 and 9. So when you read in the New Testament that Christ had eyes as a flame of fire, that's twofold. Some people, they say that's the fierceness that he's coming back with. Other people that say, well, really, biblically, that's fulfilling a prophecy in Genesis 49. So it was already prophesied that the Messiah's eyes will be red with wine and his teeth will be white with milk, representing the understanding, the sincere word. So when Christ had red eyes, Christ was a wine bibber, right? At the end of the day, we talking about a man that he knew exactly when he was going to die, the exact second, millisecond, daytime. He had to deal with temptation, demons, stress, people with no faith. Right, like we said earlier. Yesterday, Christ was about 32, 33 years old with gray hairs. So you know he was stressed out. That's why the Lord made wine to make men glad. Now, certain men, they just drink because they just drink. They just feel good. No, wine is chiefly, let's actually, before we go to that Matthew 11 and 9, let's go to Proverbs 31 and 4. A lot of men, they just drink to get drunk and behold women, right? And they just feel good. Wine is actually, you're supposed to give wine to a man that's ready to get up out of here. A man that's in his sorrow, that don't want to be here anymore. That's highly stressed out. Let's bring this up.
It's the book of Proverbs, chapter 31, and verse 4.
No.
It is not for kings, O Lemuel. It is not for kings to drink wine.
It is what?
It is not for kings to drink wine.
So really, it's not for a king to drink wine. You know?
Nor for princes strong drink.
Right?
Lest they drink and forget the law.
Because 9 times out of 10, when you're drinking, you're not thinking about the commandments like that, the laws. That's why Satan's gonna attack somebody that's drinking, because their mind is not sober, right? They're not gonna be in their right state of mind. So by default, it's easy for you to forget the law. Read on.
Lest they drink and forget the law and pervert the judgment of any of the afflicted.
And you could pervert judgment due to you had one little drink. You could pervert judgment on the matter. Read on.
Verse number 6. No. Give strong drink unto him that is ready to perish.
Do what?
Give strong drink unto him that is ready to perish.
Read on.
And wine unto those that be of heavy hearts.
See that? So wine is for the men of heavy hearts. Guess what? Christ was of a heavy heart, man. He had to die for wicked people, right? The same people that, the Lord had to die for those people, man. Those people that was mocking him, they was beating them up, they was spitting on him. He had to die for them same people.
You know, I was telling him earlier today. I was telling him when he said, when he told him that, he said, Father, forgive them, for they don't know what they do.
Right.
I said he wasn't talking about, was it the Romans? The Romans that killed them. He was talking about the Israelites that turned them over to the Romans.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Right. You know, he was like, I thought somebody forget everybody. I was like, no, if you're gonna forget everybody, he won't be coming with chains from the other nations, nations in slavery. You know what I'm saying? We went into it. They're gonna have to get their share too.
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 11, and verse number 9. But what went ye out for to see?
Right.
A prophet? Yea, I say unto you, and more than a prophet.
Read on.
For this is he of whom it is written, Behold, I send my messenger before thy face,
Right.
which shall prepare thy way before thee. Verily I say unto you, among them that are born of women,
Start at verse 7. Matthew 11:7.
verse 7, and as they departed, Jesus began to say unto the multitude concerning John, What went ye out into the wilderness to see? A reed shaken with the wind? But what went ye out for to see?
Right.
A man clothed in soft raiment? Behold,
It's like that might be 19. Jump down to verse 19. Yeah, verse 19.
verse 19, the Son of Man came eating and drinking, and they say, Behold, a man gluttonous,
Right.
and a wine bibber,
And a what?
and a wine bibber.
Read that again.
The Son of Man came eating and drinking, and they say, Behold, a man gluttonous and a wine bibber.
Right. So they said Christ was a wine bibber because he was sipping wine to take away the sorrow. Right. Now he still had a heavy mind. You don't want to take that and say every time you in sorrow you just drink. No, Christ, he prayed to the Most High. He fasted for 40 days, 40 nights. But when he had that downtime, he drunk him a little wine to take away the sorrow. So that's fulfilling when it says Christ's eyes was red as fire, that's fulfilling a prophecy in Genesis 49:12. That his eyes will be red with wine. So
Wine, along with dandelions, are natural diuretic. And what diuretic does is pulls the waters out of your system. Hence the bloodshot eyes. Like if you're working out and stuff, you want to get on stage for bodybuilding, you tend to drink a cup of wine before you get on stage, and it'll draw all your water out of your body, and it makes you look more aesthetic and more shredded. So that's why the wine would make a person have red eyes.
yeah. Let's go into the science. You gotta go into the scientific, the biology. But y'all got any more questions before we wrap up? No.
Well, like I say, I'll always be like to read and stuff, and I'll be like wanting to know a lot of stuff. You know. But it's one last question I got. It's about the UFOs they was talking about. Is those like angels? Like they said when Elijah when he went off and he told Elisha that he couldn't come with him, and the chariot came and took him up, and they thought he was going to be thrown off on some mountain or somewhere.
Right, let's go to Zechariah chapter 5:1. Let's go to the book of Hebrews chapter 11:5, and let's go to Acts 1:9. So those the chariots that you read about in the Bible, those are the UFOs. All right, but according to the scriptures, those will be the angels. Those are the vehicles of the Most High God. All right, they come from different reasons. They come to save, to extract people, and to destroy people. So it has multiple reasons. Nevertheless, the world calls them UFOs. They known in the Bible as chariots, or they known as clouds. Clouds. Let's read this.
This is the book of Psalms 104, chapter 104, and verse number 3. Who layeth the beams of his chambers in the water? Who maketh the clouds his chariot?
Who what?
Who maketh the clouds his chariot?
Read that again.
Who maketh the clouds his chariot?
See that? Who maketh the clouds his chariots? Because they shake like a cloud. They in the scriptures they mention as a cloud, and they have a description. Let's bring that out in Zechariah 5:1.
Look at Zechariah, chapter 5 and verse 1.
No.
Then I turned and lifted up mine eyes, and looked, and behold, a flying robe.
Hey, what?
A flying robe.
Read that again.
A flying robe.
So that's a flying robe, man. Right? This looked like a flying robe.
Yeah.
When you read Ezekiel, let's go to Ezekiel 1:20 real fast. Right, let's go to Ezekiel 1:20.
This is the book of
Go ahead.
It's the book of Ezekiel, chapter 1 and verse number 20. Whithersoever the Spirit was to go, they went. Thither was their spirit to go, and the wheels were lifted up over against them.
Right.
For the spirit of the living creature was in the wheels.
For the what?
For the spirit of the living creature was in the wheels.
Which are the angels. So inside of the chariots, right? Those are the angels inside of there. Esau say they're aliens in there. Technically, they are aliens, because all the alien means is a stranger, foreigner. Those angels, they not from Earth. They from the celestial world. They from the third heaven. So technically, they are aliens, but they not green beings that come out with one eye. No, those are the angels. And Esau knows about them.
Have you ever saw a chariot before? Because I was like, man, why I'll never get a chance to see no stuff like that.
Hey.
And then when me and him was just sitting back looking at my phone, and we saw like a star. And man, it's like the Earth. It's like the different. It was like a lot going on. I got it on my phone. And you can tell it wasn't no like regular flying, vehicle. Because it went like all the way like this. Then it split up into like three within one that came out. It was all kind of stuff going on. And then my buddy minded me telling me the same thing. He telling me he saw stuff that could have been UFOs. He didn't even want to tell it to me. Okay, yeah, my fault. He said he don't even want to tell it to me. It looked like could have been UFOs or something. And I said, where you saw it? And he said, that night. I said, look, check it out on my phone. We was looking at the same thing. I was just saying, man, we never get a chance to see that like that.
Yeah. Right. We believe through faith. We might have saw one. They watching though.
Have you ever seen anything like that?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I believe so.
I've seen it, man. I got it on record on my phone.
Yeah. Even the government seen them. Esau got them on camera. They even said in Antarctica, even when they in the skies in certain areas, they said something drive them out or something like that. But it's pictures of UFOs by the White House. The government has all of these classified documents.
I got it. She said they saw him. Not to interact with him.
Yeah, they said don't mess with him.
They saw him, don't interact with him, don't try to disturb him.
Yeah, but they had just spoke on the news a couple days ago about somebody seeing some sightseeing.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
So they all over. Let's bring that out and jump out to Ezekiel 1:16.
This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 1 and verse 16.
Oh.
The appearance of the wheels and their work was like unto the color of a beryl.
Right.
And they four had one likeness. And their appearance and their work was as it were a wheel in the middle of a wheel.
They what?
A wheel in the middle of a wheel.
That's the chariots. A wheel, and in the middle is another wheel through the Spirit. So let's bring out Acts 1 and 9.
So that's what picked up the mind.
The book of Acts, chapter 1 and verse number 9. And when he had spoken these things, while they beheld, he was taken up, and a cloud received him out of their sight.
And that what?
And a cloud received him out of their sight.
So after Christ was done talking to his disciples, guess what? After he was done, a cloud received him. So for lack of better terms, Christ got abducted, right? By a UFO.
Right.
But ultimately that was a chariot. Because before you could get into the third heaven, you need a celestial body. You can't get, flesh and blood can't enter into the kingdom. So the moment you go into the chariot, you're gonna go into a metamorphosis, as they say. Your body is gonna change so you could be able to go into that chariot. Because if you go into that chariot with flesh and blood like you is now, all it takes, think one evil thought, you're gonna be destroyed. Right? Right.
Probably with Moses, because Moses, they never seen Moses again too, so Moses most likely went up too.
Now Moses, he actually died. Moses, yeah, he died. But Elijah, he didn't die. Enoch didn't die as well. We're gonna show you that. Let's bring out Hebrews 11, 5, and let's go to Wisdom of Solomon 4:10.
gotta be a good person to be that. God gotta really love you.
Hey, you gotta be.
Yeah.
Hey, you gotta be on. Hey, he was so on fire he got beamed up.
Yeah, right.
Hey, you gotta be on fire,
Yeah.
right? Let's bring this out.
It's the book of Hebrews, chapter 11 and verse 5. By faith, Enoch was translated